So we're 2 weeks out from the show today, the Maryland Championships 2012. We've already made weight. The weight class is 198 pounds, which is the light heavyweight class. And Carrie doesn't have to make weight, she just has to be a certain height, so we don't have to worry about her height, she's fine. But at this point, both of us are extremely tired, extremely drained. Carrie's been on 0 carbs for the last 5 or 6 weeks. I've been on very low carbs for the last 5 or 6 weeks. And we're both just at the end of it, you know, like you just don't want to do anymore. But it's like you're exhausted, but sometimes you can't sleep. But at the same time, when you come to the gym, you barely get through the door, and sometimes you barely get to the weights to do your thing. And the weights, you can move the weight, like you're still strong. Your muscles are strong, but you just have no energy left. So now that we're winding down through the final process of this, all we have to do now is get through the last week of hard training, and then from then we start to rest and do some active recovery and get ready for that final week and do our last minute preparation and stuff. So, you know, it's been a journey, it's been tough, but I think that both of us, Carrie and I both, are going to be in our best shape that we've ever been in, produce the best physiques that we could possibly produce in the amount of time that we had. And I think it's pretty good. So now we just got to let the judges decide, you know, where we place and let the chips fall where they may. And I'm real proud of her, and I'm proud of everybody on our team, and I think we're going to show a strong showing from the BioBuilt team, Team BioS 3. 2 weeks out is when we have the final meeting for the team. Now at this point, we decide what we're doing for the last couple of weeks as far as diet, training, stuff like that, and make sure the accommodations are made for the hotel room, tanning appointments. We just make sure that all the areas are covered that need to be covered. At this point, we also discuss what classes everyone will be going into. This year there are 5 of us, 4 doing figure and myself in the bodybuilding division. At this point, we start our competition prep. Right now we're very strong, the muscles are full, but we start adjusting the calories, start changing carbohydrates, start kicking in the cardio. So it's not very long before we start to see changes in our body. Sometimes the weight will go up before it goes down, sometimes it drops. It just depends on what's going on with the individual's body. Every year it's different.
Shake it like a salt. Shake the wall, shout it. Put your hands on it. Put your hands up and down, make it go away. Break the wall, shout it. Put your hands on it. Put your hands up and down, make it go away. Roll that round and round like a mother wheel. Shake that, it's like a mother drill. Roll that round and round like a mother wheel. Shake that, it's like a mother drill. Get crunk with it, get loose with it. Like Shaw said, let Bruce hit it. Get crunk with it, get loose with it. Like Shaw said, let Bruce hit it. Yeah, shake that real fast and stop. Shake that real fast and stop. Shake that real fast and drop.
At this point, at 2 weeks out now, everything starts to change. All the workouts are very difficult. All the cardio is kicked in full swing. Sometimes you're on 0 carbs, sometimes you're on low carbs, sometimes you're carbohydrate cycling. Just depends on where you are in your prep and how far you have to go. Regardless, at the 2 week mark, everybody pretty much is low on energy, their strength is starting to take a dip, and they pretty much feel awful all the time. This is a make it or break it time where many people don't make it past here. If you can make it past that 2 week mark, then you will definitely make it to the stage. It's a gut check time and you have to dig down real deep to get to the stage.
Yeah, shake it like a salt, yeah, shake it like a salt. Make the wall, shout it, put your hands on it. Put that ass up and down, make it go away. Make the wall, shout it, put your hands on it. Put that ass up and down, make it go away. Roll that ass round and round like a mother wheel. Shake that, it's like a mother drill. Roll that round and round like a mother wheel. Shake that, it's like a mother drill. Get crunk with it, get loose with it. Like Shaw said, let Bruce hit it. Get crunk with it, get loose with it. Like Shaw said, let Bruce hit it. Yeah, shake that.
So at this point, we're 9 days out from the Maryland Championships. All of our appointments are booked and the hotel room is booked. We booked the hotel room a few months in advance just to make sure that we got the discounted rate. So some things to keep in mind before a show: you've got some appointments as far as hair, nails, waxing, makeup, and those things are important to schedule in advance as well. The expenses kind of start to add up. Something that people may not take into account is how expensive things can really get. So a typical show can run you anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 and up. And it just really depends on travel, it depends on what you're purchasing. This is my suit. I bought a new suit this year. And suits can run from anywhere from $200 for a basic one all the way up to about $1,500 depending on how many sparkles are on it. And you also need shoes, so that's an expense for women. For men, posing suits are a lot cheaper. They're like $25 to $50. Big range, but they don't have the glitter on them. Also take into account the appointments. Hair appointments is going to be usually a couple $100. Nail appointments, $50 to $75. If you're going to get your hair and makeup done at the show, that's another expense, $100 or so. Tanning, anywhere from $100 for supplies. If you get a spray tan, it goes up to maybe $150. And it's important that you'll need to have that. You also need your Federation card, NPC card, it's about $100. Show entry fees range anywhere from $40 on up to, I think, $150 or $125 for some of the big shows. So expenses really add up, and I'm not even taking into account food, supplements, training expenses, and then also other travel expenses if you've got a flight or if you've got a road trip planned. So expenses really add up, but it's really worth it.
Put your hands on it, put that ass up and down, make it go away. Roll that ass round and round like a mother.
The best part of the final week for me is gotta be the day or two before the show. And that's when everything is done. All the appointments are done, no more gym time, no more cardio time. I'm just chilling in the hotel room and just reading a book, watching TV, eating, chilling. Best part.
Alright, what's the best part of that final week for me? I know Carrie's probably going to be sitting there waiting and eating and chilling and all that stuff. The best part for me is probably the morning of the show. Like, I'm usually up early and I'll get to the venue, and a lot of times I don't even sleep the night before. I wind up stacking out and watching TV while everyone else sleeps. But the best part is showing up at the show and seeing the other competitors and smelling that smell of like the tanning stuff in the air and seeing the banners up on the stage, and then everything becomes really real in the last 16 weeks or whatever you've done for a diet and stuff like that. None of it really matters at that point. It's just it's showtime and it's ready to go. So my worst part of the week would probably be what Carrie likes. I don't like waiting. Sitting in the hotel room, eating your diet food, just sitting there waiting with that tanning stuff on you, which feels awful. I start to lose it. Like, I'll rent a bunch of DVDs sometimes if it's a local show, and I'll sit in my room and watch DVDs and just be a basket case because I'm sitting there waiting. I'd rather be in the gym. So either way, the day's going to get there whether you're waiting or not. So.